Xander Cage and lead generation, brought to you by listbuilding.com/more leads. Xander Cage, there are 3 things you have in common as an entrepreneur with Xander Cage. Now, Xander Cage might be the last person you would compare yourself to, especially if you are spending hours in the internet and not much time in the gym. But what if you and he have more in common than you'd think? Find out what you have in common with Xander Cage by answering these 3 questions. Okay, so maybe you don't have 25-inch biceps a la Xander Cage, and maybe you don't go around breaking laws on a regular basis, or at least I hope not, but you and old Xander Cage may have more in common than you think, especially if you're an entrepreneur or even work in a job where you get obsessed with generating leads and closing them. Here's why. Xander Cage question number 1. Are you an independent-minded loner? If you're either an entrepreneur or your job depends on making sales and closing leads, not just sitting around filing papers and drinking coffee, then you and Xander Cage have a similar mindset for the job you have to do. Get results any way you have to. Do it alone if you have to. Xander Cage question number 2. Are you a quick decision maker, and do you tend to be the one who usually has to make the decision? Xander Cage doesn't wait around for someone else to say, let's go. In fact, he's usually out of the door and running before anyone notices. If you're an entrepreneur like me, or you have to close leads and not just file papers, you also have this trait in common. And Xander Cage question number 3. Even if most wouldn't call you a flat-out anarchist, do you generally go your own way regardless of group consensus? Do you rebel against the status quo, not by wearing statements on your t-shirts and joining protests, but by doing what you think is right, regardless of how difficult it is, similar to Xander Cage? Do others seem uncomfortable around you, and do you not really care as long as you are doing what you want to do? Being a lone rebel is a hallmark of Xander Cage, and if you answered yes to those questions, that's another thing you probably have in common. Personally, I enjoy going to see Vin Diesel movies like Xander Cage because I started my own business at the age of 19, and though I didn't make the money I wanted to until I learned a simple secret, so simple it makes me shake my head now to think I didn't even know it then, I didn't let anyone tell me I couldn't do it or stop me from following my dream like a pit bull. And now I'm a multi-millionaire. So if anyone ever tries to discourage you from following your dream of being an entrepreneur, just fold your arms and give them your best Xander Cage look, and they should shut up. If you've ever tried to start your own business yourself, you know there are 2 biggest challenges, and making a product isn't one of them. Making a product is the easy part. It's the other 2 that get you. First, you have to stare down, a la Xander Cage, every person that doesn't believe in you and says you'll never make it. That's why we love Xander Cage and pretty much all of Vin Diesel's other movies. Next, you have to have customers, and that means you have to get leads, lots of them. Getting leads can be expensive if you don't know the secret to doing it for free. Fortunately, I learned how to get my own leads, how to do it for free, how to close them like Xander Cage closing down a fight. And not only that, I figured out how to put the entire system, get this, on autopilot. What that means is, these days, I run a multi-million-dollar company from my private mansion and often make more sales and bring in more leads while I'm sleeping than when I'm awake and working, or when I'm hanging out on the couch watching an Xander Cage movie. Either way, it's pretty sweet. Stick around, and I'll tell you my biggest secret next. This is very important. Don't waste time and money learning this from anyone but the best. That would be me, by the way. Get started pulling in your own leads on autopilot today by visiting www.listbuilding.com/more leads. Go ahead and type that into your browser window right now. www.listbuilding.com/more leads.